Alright, now that we've gotten the wrong end, the only wrong end that's not part of the final battle, let's continue on to the final battle, since this is chapter 10 and we are approaching. Now, this final battle is pretty I don't know how this is gonna go, because it actually says you die without dealing damage, deal some damage and then die, and then I have to defeat the queen after being hit 4 times. So there's actually some battling in this. Like, this whole time, like, there was no kind of fight mechanic anywhere, and all of a sudden now I'm gonna be able to fight? Like, how? Move. Get out of the way. Make it. Okay. I made it. And now they're gone. Okay, let's check this out. Noritake Nakara died swiftly but unknown. Okay, yeah, all these people probably just died. Like, they died because they sacrificed themselves. And there's a big red thing right there. Now, to let's save it really quick. Now, it's weird looking at how to do this final battler. There's like a paper here, and it says, the queen says some weird script, and I'm assuming that's what the things that we found in the room full of the library. These things. And I didn't know this is what you need to fight her. So pretty much in the picture, if you see the queen, I guess, the final boss, if you see the queen say the top part, you have to choose the answer for the bottom. So like if I see her say something with C, I have to pick the H or the N looking one. RR, that's kind of confusing. So that's how you fight her, and I don't know if they're gonna give me much time to choose, and that's gonna be a real pain in the ass. So pretty much, I'm not gonna press anything. I'm gonna see how much time I get to choose between questions. I guess you could say questions, whatever this battle is, and I'm just gonna see if I have time to react or not, because I have to look up what she's doing. And first we're gonna get the one where she kills me by doing no damage, to get that wrong end. So let's just move forward. There was a single white door in the back of the crystal-filled room, along with an enormous red standing cross. The walls were lined with the crucified corpses of what looked to be the Martuba investigation team set in before us. The Book of Shadows spoke once again. I was at a loss for words. I jerked my head and apologized for the sudden outburst. I'd intended to be looking out for Aiko, manufacturing an excuse to keep her out of harm's way, but it came across harshly. It worked, however. Aiko hung back, and I stepped through the door on my own. Birds. Inside was another realm entirely, one in which heaven and earth alike sat in ruins. The sky was a twisted coil of red and black, and the ground, or what was left of it, was little more than a black mass. The floorboards from the school stretched before me, converging at a shining staircase leading up to the unknown. And high above all else loomed a conspicuous object, shining brightest of all. On another mass of floorboards below me were Kishinuma, Mochida, Nakashima, and Magari. Yuka and Satsuki were there too, though they were both clearly unconscious. I cracked a slight smile at Mochida's panicked reaction. My mind was made up. I was going to do this, no matter what. I took my first steps up the staircase. Nakashima addressed me with much effort, as she still seemed to be in tremendous pain. It was, admittedly, some comfort to receive so much support from my friends. The stairs faded away behind me, quite literally each one vanishing as soon as I stepped off it, actively rejecting the notion that anyone but the bearer of the book could be here. I continued climbing until I hit the top, which left me right at the foot of the shining object in the sky. The last of the steps disappeared, leaving me floating in midair. I clasped my arms around the Book of Shadows. I tucked the book under my arm and started leveling myself out a bit. Almost immediately my vision began to blur. It looked like the world around me was melting. It took me a moment to realize that it was actually motion blur due to the extreme rate of speed at which I was flying. The shining object was getting closer and closer. The following events all happened in rapid succession. The runic letters on my thigh from the blowback at Yoshi Shinozaki's estate began glowing red and spurting blood. As I was observing and confirming this, 4 small blue lights were drawn to me like moths to a flame. Once they got within arm's length, they stopped moving and just hovered. I had a feeling I already knew the answer. These 4 lights were giving off a gentle, caring, friendly glow. They were the purest and strongest lights I'd encountered here. It's my friends! It's Miss Yui, it's Seiko, Morishiki, and Mayu. Oh, is this the final battle? I felt more reassured than ever just by looking at them. In my mind, I could understand them without the need for words. Their aura was as inviting as could be. I began to cry. Crap! Now I know why it says one of the wrong edges to lose all 4 lights. Holy shit. Okay. Okay, alright. No! This was no time to lament or mourn, though the runic letters on my arm now began glowing red and spurting blood, just as the ones on my thigh had moments before. The Book of Shadows spoke again. Oh, here we go. Is this it? This is the Battle of the Witches. When the Nirvana addresses you in first oh yeah. In first arc, you may answer back by pressing X, triangle, or square buttons to use first arc lettering of your own as indicated. Shit. Okay. So first we're gonna just not press anything and see if that is like a wrong choice, and to see how much time I have. Okay, so NF. Holy shit, that was no time at all to choose. So I still get to choose? Nope, she still attacks. Holy crap, the first ever battle in the freaking Court Party series. Holy crap, they don't even give me a chance. I guess I still get to choose though. Let's see how much time I have to choose though. Okay, I just have to die now without... This would be so much cooler if I wasn't on like a time kind of thing. Did I die? Yep. Whoa. Holy shit. That was funny. Oh man, she just straight up exploded. Okay, this time we have to deal some damage and then die. So I have to be able to. I'm gonna hit her like twice, and then let her kill me. First, I'm gonna get rid of 2 of these. Booyah! Right back at you. Okay, so... Okay, so I did some damage to her. Now I'm just gonna die. I didn't even remember, is it always square, triangle, X? It is. Oh, that's different. I suddenly realized that my vision had gone completely dark. Mayu! I turned around at the sound of Suzumoto's voice, and there she was, Mayu Suzumoto, with a warm blue glow. Seiko! Miss Yui! Murashiki!
あゆみちゃん、ずっと見てたよ。
Shinoharu, Murashiki, and Miss Yui were there too.
みんな、これ夢？頑張ったね。何度も立ち上がるあなたを見て、先生ずっと泣いてたんだよ。
もういいんじゃないか。
みんな生きてるの？
Shinohara shook her head.
ほら。
The marks on her neck from the noose that killed her were still present and accounted for.
生きてはいないけど、みんないるし、いいかなって。これは死者と共に永遠に暮らせる世界を作る邪術、ランド・オブ・コープスだわ。妖精さんにもできなかったこと。ここなら授業だってできそうだわ。よりによってこの術が成功するなんて。もういいや。それでね、岸沼くんがさ、超おかしいでしょ。
In a dark room, surrounded by skeletal corpses, I stood and I spoke with my friends. I was happy and content and lost myself to the sensation of camaraderie that I'd missed so much. The morning never came. It was perpetual night here, but I barely even noticed it. I was ready for this eternal existence with my dear departed friends. No, that's not it's not a wrong end. It's kind of a good end, sort of. Okay, this time we have to lose all 4 of our spirit friends, and then I have to defeat the queen. So this might be a little tricky. First, let's just get rid of our friends. Our friends that we have to. No, that sucks. It hurts me so much to do that. But seriously, how are you supposed to do this? You have to like write that shit down just so you know what to do. Okay, now I need to choose the right answers. I guess I have to hear it like 5 times, I'm assuming. Take that! Hadouken! Oh. This is for my friends! Ooh. Oh man, I hope this doesn't give away too much of like the actual ending. I want to get the true ending. I woke to a white expanse stretched out before me and realized I was still in midair. It almost seemed like I was above the clouds, looking down on the world below. Finally, the light from the Book of Shadows faded, its power spent. I immediately lost my balance and fell through the sea of clouds, landing with a thump. Before me, I saw a young blonde girl sitting in the nude. That is weird. The entire area was so blindingly bright, though, that I couldn't make out who she was. The clouds clung to the ground. Here, even here, giving my surroundings their unearthly glow, pure white, as if this were the aftermath of a blizzard. Is her hands bloody? Her hands are bloody. Who the hell is this person? Is this the whole reason of the evil dimension? I could make out new details the longer I focused, and now noticed that the girl before me had almost translucent blue eyes with no eyebrows. She was gazing fixedly at me. I could only think of this being as someone who existed beyond all human knowledge. I addressed her with a fearful break in my voice, but she just continued staring at me in total silence. I raised the Book of Shadows, but the girl's expression did not change. The girl spoke, but I couldn't understand what she was saying. The girl stood and began approaching me. I tried to take a step back, but tripped and fell. This is when I first noticed my surroundings. The clouds had receded a bit, revealing no snow broth, but a thick forest of half-dead trees. The girl approached me slowly, one step at a time, in an almost rhythmical manner. Her mouth opened wide. What the hell? And a large branch popped out of the back of her throat. Suddenly she was crucified directly in front of me. Blood splattered everywhere. I was completely drenched. I screamed and I tried to move back, but my legs had given out. Meanwhile, the Book of Shadows lay on the ground. It was the farthest thing from my mind at the moment. Then, from behind this skewered girl, I caught sight of another girl who looked just like her flaming body hanging from a tree. It swung very slightly in place, creaking and groaning with each revolution.
Ego soffocare con l'impastanism!
Ego corpus la celebante!
I could hear accusatory yells in that same foreign language coming from hysterical men and women in the forest. I shifted my focus from the burning, hanged girl on the tree back to the girl in front of me, and she too was now completely burned. She continued walking toward me, little by little, step by painful, deliberate step. And when she finally reached me, she put her hands around my neck and began to choke me. Thinking quickly, however, I grabbed the girl's arm, pulled her in, and gave her the biggest hug I could muster.
言葉はわからないけど、伝わってくるわ。虐殺された命の悲鳴。あなたに何があったのかはわからない。でも、多分あなたにそっくりな少女を私は知ってる。
The burned girl stopped moving entirely. I guess I'd gotten her attention.
悲しくて、その子は命を奪われてからもお母さんのことが大好きで、誰にも許されなかった。苦しんで助けを求めるままに自分をなくして呪いに溺れて。
My eyes began to overflow with tears. I loosened my grip slightly, and the burned girl began to stroke my cheek delicately yet strangely.
あなたの憎しみと怒りは正しいわ。 悲しみの連鎖は誰かが止めなきゃならない。かわいそうでも、あなたにしかできない使命なの。
She continued to stroke my cheek, but then also raised her other hand to my eye, stuck out her finger, and jammed it right into my eye socket. Pain shot through me in one incredible wave. From somewhere deep within my head, I could hear the sound of a foreign body digging around my muscle tissue. Her finger had directly cut my ophthalmic nerve. Between the intense agony and the deeply disturbing sound, I felt like I was on the verge of insanity.
Itami. この痛みを共有できなければ、この子を理解することなんてできない。私は逃げない。
That decided, I allowed my body to give in to the convulsions that had begun racking it. I was trying not to consciously focus on the pain, instead focusing on the girl. I felt as if I were mere moments from choking on my own tongue when the girl's finger finally dug my right eye out of its socket completely. Words could not describe the extreme pain. I cramped up completely and began shivering. The girl then put the sticky, bloody eyeball in her palm, displaying it triumphantly in view of my other eye for a moment before squeezing it with every ounce of strength she had. It still had some elasticity to it, so it expanded in her hand until its length and had roughly doubled, but it could only take so much, eventually exploding into milky white and red goo. Yet I still refused to show any signs of intimidation. I did not react. I waited until the girl's eye met mine, then flashed her a soft smile. She looked genuinely puzzled, and then she threw herself at me, and our lips met.
Solitarius.
I hugged her once more, in spite of my trembling arms. A huge shockwave shook the air, transforming into light and shattering around me. When the light settled, I was standing at the top of those mist-red stairs, which had now reformed and stretched down below me to the remnants of heavenly host. I held my exploded right eye in my right hand and the Book of Shadows in my left. That's a really cool pick. I like that pick. I sighed again and looked around me. The only distinctly visible thing nearby was a large pool of blood, and standing right in the middle of it was a girl wearing the same school uniform as Yuka's. She turned around and looked at me, sobbing uncontrollably. Her eyes were pitch black, and her entire countenance seemed somehow off. Sasuke licked her lips with the speed of a lizard. No! She ate my friends? It was the sort of movement that no ordinary human could possibly accomplish, though it happened so quickly that I was kind of doubting what I'd just seen. It was only after I'd asked this that I heard a voice from behind me. It looked like something had bitten off most of Magari's body from the waist down. Her flesh was tattered, her organs exposed, and blood absolutely everywhere.
シナプスが壊れてる。こいつ逃げなさい。
I had no idea what she was talking about. Then in a flash, Satsuki's head split apart like a blooming flower, and the creature lunged directly at me. Just like that, my head was bitten clean off my body, and the rest of me just plopped to the ground. Chewing and crunching sounds echoed throughout the empty, otherwise silent space as Satsuki enjoyed her freshly caught meal. Alright. Wow. Holy shit. So now we got all the wrong ends. Now, let's get the true and final end to this Corpse Party trilogy. A huge shockwave shook the air, transforming into light and shattering around me.
嘘でしょ。
I could hear Kishinuma and the others yelling out in shock, having witnessed everything from the bottom of the stairs. Aiko was there too. When the light settled, I was standing at the top of those mystic red stairs, which had now reformed and stretched down below me to the remnant of Heavenly Host. I held my exploded right eye in my hand and the Book of Shadows in my left. I slowly, solemnly descended those stairs of light.
篠崎、お前無事だったのか。
忍者。
篠崎、その目、怪我したのか。
大丈夫。あの子をここに戻すための優しい傷だよ。
The Book of Shadows in my hand had a white sheen to it now. I gave a weak smile and slowly formulated in my mind the exact words I wanted to say.
みんな、ごめんね。私のためにみんながひどい目にあって、どんなに謝ってもやっぱり許されることじゃないって分かってる。これ以上みんなを傷つけさせないよ。この涅槃から守るから。何言ってるの？
どうしたんだよ、篠崎。急に変なこと言って。
大丈夫。心配しないで。今度こそちゃんと守るって決めたの。
おい、篠崎。
Kishinuma seemed especially perturbed by this resolution. He must have thought I was on the verge of sacrificing myself for the greater good or something, and rightly so. But the section of floor where I stood was up too high for Kishinuma or any of the others to reach me. They couldn't stop me, not anymore.
篠崎。
私だって篠崎の末裔。幸子がそうしたように、私もこの涅槃を飲み込んで封印する。幸子のように。それってまさか。
I'd been too embarrassed to look my friends in the eye while informing them of this, but knew I had to now. It was my last chance. I looked up at them, cheeks a little red. But if you die here, then that's it for the Shinozaki line, because you're like the last one, unless your mom is spiritual. I giggled as playfully as I could.
いい加減にしろ。お前はもう十分傷ついたろ。もういいんだよ、篠崎。
Kishinuma was downright hysterical. but I still kept that same bright smile on my face. I wouldn't let go of it no matter what.
でもね、いいこともあるの。よしえさんの記憶で見たんだけどね。天神症ができる前、幸子がこの涅槃を封印した時は、この涅槃に消された人の存在を取り戻せたの。
取り戻す。
篠原さんや鈴本さんたちみんなの思い出をこの世に取り戻せるかもしれない。
篠崎。
私は幸せだよ。ここでお別れになってもみんなの記憶にいるんだもの。それに比べて
篠崎。
今のままじゃ篠原さんや鈴本さん、森重君、ゆい先生、それに涅槃に存在を消されたたくさんの人が悲しすぎる。
お前はそれでいいのかよ。人のことばっか考えてんじゃねえよ。
My facade had finally cracked. A single tear rolled down my cheek, then another and another. And with impeccable timing, the Book of Shadows spoke, striking me while I was down.
残念だが、お前に救いは来ない。この邪術を行使するには、それなりの代償が必要だ。幸子ほどの霊力もないお前は、代わりにお前の存在を失うことになる。
んだと。
Oh, that's bullshit.
涅槃に触れる以上、存在に関しては生涯反動を受けねばならない。誰の記憶にも残らない。思い出されもしない。これまでお前が生きた証がすべて消えるのだ。よく考えろ。
篠崎。なあ、冗談じゃねえぞ。お前の存在そのものが消えちまうなんて、そんなバカなこと。
For a split second, I let my true feelings show, but then immediately forced a smile again.
でもみんなの人生を取り戻せるのなら。
なんでだよ。お前全然分かってねえ。やめるんだ篠崎。他に方法はないのか。
そうだよ委員長。私はもう誰にも死んでほしくないし消えてほしくない。お願いだからやめて。
邪術は常に対価を必要とする。でもそんな未来、私も納得できないわ。
ありがとうみんな。でも誰かがやらなきゃいけないことなの。私やるわ。
涅槃の脅威は残しながらも見守ってゆく道もある。いいのか。
問題を先送りして次の世代に不幸を回すなんてダメ。そうでしょ。
ならば付き合おう。だがただの人間のお前にこの膨れ上がった涅槃を取り込むことができるかな。
飲み込めばいいんでしょ。やってみせる。
I shaved a piece of flesh from the wall of Heavenly Host, fully prepared to illustrate this point. Ugh. Without thinking too hard about what I was doing and ignoring every impulse in my body, I shoved the fetid meat in my mouth, chewed it, and gulped it down. My face warped in horror as I felt the morsel slide its way down my throat. I might as well have swallowed fire. This somehow triggered my back to pop open slightly and began spurting blood. The bits of flesh I was unable to stomach were then quickly and rather ungracefully regurgitated onto the floor. I then picked up the flesh I'd spit out and tried to cram it back in my mouth. I was determined to keep it down. It would have been a lot easier if it hadn't been glaring at me from my hands, however.
Oi! Yamete kure!
I turned to face Kishinuma, who was practically begging me not to go through with this, and it's not like I wanted to, I just had to.
やめてくれ頼むそんな簡単にいなくならないでくれよ
I smiled. The sentiment was truly heartwarming.
あなたはいつも私のこと見てくれてたね。気づいてたよ。あなたが私を忘れても私は忘れないからね。石沼くん。
Oh, finally acceptance. Kishinuma's eyes swelled up with tears.
頭ポンポン。嬉しかった。
I smiled again, even while tears were streaming down my face. Why are you still eating it? You don't literally have to eat it, right? That would be gross. This time, after swallowing the wall meat, blood began spurting from my head. Yet finally my actions seemed to be having an effect, as the wall in front of me began to fizzle away into a blood-red mist, ultimately vanishing before my eyes.
やめろやめてくれバカ野郎
Kishinuma collapsed to his knees. Another shockwave rocked the whole of the dimension. It was so enormous that the ceiling fell in, and the nearby wall began to crack. Whatever rickety parts of the school were left had begun crumbling around us.
大したものだ、篠崎あゆみ。逃げるわよ、巻き込まれる。立ちなさい。あの子を犬死にさせたいの。どのみちこの亀裂では止めに行くのは無理だろう。格好をつけさせてやる。あれが幸子の血を引く後継者だ。委員長。
忘れるものか絶対篠崎
お兄ちゃん、さつきちゃんも無事だったの？
ああさつきちゃんの方は目を覚まさないんだが。
ダラダラしないでよ。ね、半ごとあの子に食われたいの？放ってくわよ。
よしき行こう。
I don't know how I feel about this. This sucks. One person is still gonna be... Before he left the area, Kishinuma looked back one last time. Someone's gonna be... Still has to be wiped from existence. That sucks. But I was out of sight by that point. carefully but swiftly made her way through the rubble of the former bell tower. Along the way, Yoshiki paused for a moment to look up at the stairs and caught a glimpse of Masuto's clothes.
あれは
It was only a moment's distraction, however. Yoshiki, like the rest of us, very quickly continued on his way.
Yuka! もう少しだ頑張れ
急ぎましょう
Yoshiki got up to follow, but instead just stood there. He wouldn't take a single step.
どうしたの石沼
Naomi, still on my back, saw Yoshiki's motionless form and knew something wasn't quite right.
人の記憶から消えるだけですぐだ涅槃を食い尽くした後はどうなるんだ普通の世界に戻れるのか
He seemed to be caught in a loop of doubt. He was trying to work through something in his head and didn't seem ready to move on again until he'd succeeded.
ヨシキ何してるんだ早くしないとあいつが今いるのはその涅槃の中だぞ待てヨシキ
He turned back toward the ruins of Heavenly Host and run off.
お前ら出てろ
And just like that, he was gone. Fallen rubble blocking us off from the passageway he darted into.
嘘だろ
Try as we might, there was no pursuing him. He'd made his choice, and there was nothing we could do to change things now.
仕方ない急ぐわよ
The school began to shake even more violently.
ヨシキ篠崎
Not only was it shaking, but creaking and groaning as well. The school was definitely not going to stay intact for much longer at all. The red and black sky began to get sucked into Heavenly Host like smoke into an exhaust vent, with the beautiful clear night scenery of the real world peeking out from behind it. And slowly, the blue sky of day crept into view, ousting both the moon and the horrors of the Nirvana alike. The 6 pillars disappeared from the earth, leaving only giant craters in their wake. The rising sun shone upon the death-ridden world, serving as a beacon of light and hope for the people who suffered beneath what could have been, and for a time was, an endless night.
この世のどこでもない場所で嘆きと闇の支配する大きな呪いの濁流は優しい少女の血と存在の犠牲によってせき止められた。死の運命は覆らない。取り戻した友達の生きた証はそれにより生まれる新たな悲しみで世界を満たし癒してゆく。 世代を超えて受け継がれてきた守護者のバトン。きっと彼女なら世界のどこかでまっすぐに守り続けてゆくだろう。
Oh, that is bullshit.
私たちの記憶からも消え去ってしまった彼女にはもう言葉すら届けることはできないが。
Oh, that sucks so much. So then there's only two left of the group, just Satoshi and Naomi.
いくつかの世界と運命が融合したこの未来で。
ナオミ、ご飯できたよ。はーい。
With a sigh of relief, Nakashima stood up and left her room. Oh. Next to the photo of her classmates, another photo stood on her desk, taken at Mochida's house.
きっとまた会える。力を守る者の矜持を胸に。
Oh! No! No, that's not the true end, is it? That is! No! Oh no! That sucks so bad. I hope there's something after the credits. Okay, and that's it. And here I sat in my own house in Hinoue's room. She's alive! In the corner, in a wheelchair, expressionless and empty, with the Book of Shadows on my lap. There was no fire in my eyes, no life. I just sat and stared at a single point in front of me. The reflection staring back from the mirror wasn't me. It was Sachi, the girl in black. Sachi's eyes were covered by her bangs. Her expression was impossible to read. She was unmoving, unreadable, untenable, just a reflection of me. The book of shadows in my hand darted its eyes around frantically, its tongue dangling limply outside the frame of the tome itself. The house sat in silence for a moment. And then the doorbell rang again. The reflection in the mirror was no longer Sachi. It was just Ayumi, just me. The Book of Shadows reverted to showing itself once more as a plain, ordinary, entirely standard leather-bound book. The blue-white stones were tossed up into the air, where they danced a bit before tumbling back down. I could easily catch them with one hand. Kishinuma is still alive! I looked up at the White House in front of me and smiled a toothy grin, and I held onto those stones tightly, for they were my precious ever after stones.
やっと見つけたぜ。
Yes! Kishinuma survived! Well, Ayumi and Kishinuma were wiped from existence, but I guess they're still together? Holy crap, I got a lot of stuff. EX Chapter 7 has been unlocked. Sasuke's heart. Save that. Conclusion. I got a lot of trophies. Reconciliation. I think that's for getting all the endings. Oh. So, that was Corpse Party Blood Drive. So this is the finale episode, but there will be one more bonus episode for EX Chapter 7. Look forward to that.